Now it's time for Dino Ring, and this one hurts because I love Dino Ring, but I'm gonna put Dino Ring in a B tier. To all the people who've watched my shorts and said, wow, how dare you diss Dino Ring? I wasn't dissing him. I love this man. Hello everybody, it is I, Sit Back Reviews, and we are back at it again with another Skylander tier list. But not like any Skylanders tier list, but the most important Skylanders tier list on the original figures from Spyros Adventure. Who would have saw this one coming? Now before we go rating the figures, I want to make sure we kind of lay down my 3 critique rules. So everyone knows, you know, where I'm getting my opinions and I don't get any comments wondering what horrible opinions I have. So my first rule is basing them off of how fun they are. How fun is this Skylander? We choose these characters based off of just the back of the box and their look. So when we play them, that's when we kind of see the magic happen. And that's where I want to really talk about the gameplay. Which one of these Skylanders is fun? You know, where we have somebody who punches with fists, we have somebody literally breathing fire. My second rule, how creative is their design? A lot of these Skylanders are really cool in design, but you know, there's a couple of generic looking designs that didn't really get a lot to them. But I'm basing my opinion too on how their design is and how that also plays into their gameplay. And then my third rule is the dynamic pose of the figure. Just like in my starter pack video where I talked about the portal, I think the physicality of these figures are really important since a majority of us have these either on shelves or, you know, in our basements or under our beds. And of course the posing for the first generation wasn't that crazy. The common theme is one arm raised, one arm down. So I'm gonna kind of play into the realm of Spyros Adventure, but when we get further into these tier list videos, I will be a little more stricter on the posing. And of course, with all these rules said, I think the biggest one of all though is these are my opinions and my opinions alone. Hopefully I can redeem myself and explain myself better than my shorts videos have, because I do see the comments and I am so sorry. Overall, I'm here to have fun, and to have fun we gotta start with the first one of them all, the fires. So first on the list is Sunburn, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm coming off really strong here. Sunburn is a D.
Gosh, ain't I repulsive?
In the first 5 minutes, I shot myself in the head and I said, we're still going. Okay, so Sunburn being in D tier, and this is basically the F tier, is the reasoning that Sunburn, he suffers from all 3 of my kind of critiques, except the third one I would say. 1, his gameplay isn't really that fun. He breathes fire, he can teleport, and he can dash attack. Okay, the teleport is a pretty cool move. I think that's the most unique thing out of it. And he's not creatively fun, if I would say. He does damage, but he's not creatively fun. That's something I want to make sure. It's not all about damage here, people. It's all about how fun and unique they are. And Sunburn just doesn't have that in his gameplay. And that kind of plays into his design too. He kind of looks like a generic Phoenix. His design is not really the best in my opinion. He flips those 2 switches down. If anything, I think the redeemability Sunburn has is he has probably one of the coolest dynamic poses. He's standing on his feet, ready to attack. Man is stanced up. From D tier to instant S, Igniter is beautifully creative and amazing. Igniter is like a nice bowl of cereal at 11 p.m. He is God's British little fire guy. Gameplay right there is instantly already S tier. He has a sword. He has the ability to run around with his little fire body. That's freaking cool. I'm not gonna put damage into this, but Igniter packs probably the biggest punch. You get hit by Igniter's sword, your fucking asshole's getting inverted. But his design, he's a flame knight, a stubby flame knight to be exact, and it's amazing. He's so freaking cool looking. Now we're on to Eruptor. Eruptor's kind of become that staple to the Skylander series. I don't know why. TFB just kind of has a hard on for this little cum red guy. Eruptor to me is really, I'm gonna say, oh man, this is hard. he's a B tier. Eruptor's a B tier because his gameplay is fun. Slightly generic, but is fun. Eruptor mainly has like lobbing projectiles and kind of can spit out a little ball on the ground. But what's really cool about Eruptor is his lava blast. That AoE lava blast is so good sometimes. It just hits nice, it hits well. I love it as a kind of a move. It's actually became his personality to barf. I don't know why that's a personality trait. That's kind of like saying a drunk white girl is your personality trait. Also, Eruptor and his design is unique. I don't know much like characters with that fiery like volcano look. I've never seen a lot of them, but Eruptor stands out as a design. Like, it's very easy to look at his design and be like, hey, that's cool. And also, is that from Skylanders? You know? But his figure is pretty cool. I'll give it that. It's very bulky. It has a nice feel to it. Don't ask me why I know it has a nice feel to it, but just it has a nice feel to it. Now on to Flameslinger. Now, Flameslinger is an A tier. His gameplay should have been generic. His gameplay should have been basic. He's an elf who just shoots fire arrows. It's the most basic thing we've seen in almost all of video games and media, but he has some of the coolest moves, and that is his running, like his sprint of fire. Oh my god, the fact that not only can you use it as a barricade, but like a circle attack, he's so fun. But his design is lackluster. The only thing unique about him is that he's blind. This is one of those situations where his design really should put him in like a C tier. His figure pose makes up for it. Man is stanced up, he's ready, and I think overall, Flameslinger, instant A. Now it's time for Dino Ring, and this one hurts because I love Dino Ring, but I'm gonna put Dino Ring in a B tier. To all the people who've watched my shorts and said, wow, how dare you diss Dino Ring? I wasn't dissing him. I love this man. Dino Ring is awesome. I love him. Personally, he was actually one of my first Earth Element Skylanders when I was a kid. The reason though Dino Ring isn't B though is he kind of suffers from a couple of things. There's a pro, there's a con. He's Australian. So Dino Ring's gameplay is fun. He throws boomerangs. He has a shield boomerang attack and he can summon fists from the ground. But it's that exact gameplay that makes him a little generic. Out of all of the Earth Skylanders, he's very basic. A lot of the Earth Skylanders have something that's very unique that pushes them. Dino Ring doesn't have that. And as much as I want to say the trap fist would make him cool, I would say 5 out of 10 those moves would hit, and they were mainly just there to just kind of to facilitate an area so you can just throw your boomerangs, because that's really all Dino Ring's gonna do. You're gonna throw your boomerangs. It's fun, but sadly his gameplay is just very simple. That kind of goes into his design. He's just a little dinosaur with boomerangs and a couple of armor pieces. That is, you know, cute in its own little way. Who gave the little guy some, you know, boomerangs? Do I personally like it though? Yes, and that is why he's my B tier. But if I wasn't really into reptiles and I wasn't really into the whole idea of him, I could see Dino Ring usually hitting a C tier. And then his posing's actually pretty cool. Again, the whole one arm up, one arm down, it is what it is. And now we're on to the next Earth element, and that is Terrafin, aka Shark Mike Tyson. And Shark Mike Tyson is gonna go, I would honestly say, the A tier. Terrafin is a pretty cool character. And when I say pretty cool character, I mean he straight up New York brawls your ass. That's how cool he is. Terrafin is a very fast and damaging punching character. I like him as a brawler. And not only is he a brawler, he has his whole other gameplay of being a shark. He can summon little mini sharks to kind of attack enemies and stick onto them to slow them down. He can go underground for an invincibility attack. He's perfect for beginners and just people who enjoy his game style. And Terrafin himself, in terms of his creativity, makes sense why he keeps coming back. And that's the same thing with his design. He's just a land shark. He is literally a land shark. There's nothing different. They took a shark, they gave him feet, they put fucking fisticuffs on him, and they said, go beat that chompy up. And he slaughtered it. So Terrafin's design is pretty okay, I'll give it that. Terrafin's posing is just very mediocre. It's not even mediocre, it's kind of dumb. He has probably the dumbest pose of Spyro's Adventure, and he definitely gets better in the future generations. But For now, he looks like he's either posing and holding the wall, or he has that awkward kind of like waving at somebody who thinks is waving at him, and it turns out the person they're waving at is behind him, so now he just kind of has to hold his hand up and act like he was still doing something to redeem it. That's kind of Terrafin's dynamic pose on the figure. Oh god, there's no questions asked. Prison Break is an instant S tier. He has peak design, he has peak posing, and he has the most unique gameplay. Yeah, he shoots a beam, and you can basically say a flamethrower attack. But the difference between Prison Break is he shoots a beam and he can summon crystals that he can be used as an attack. But if you shoot in those crystals, now those crystals are now shooting beams equaling 2 beams. Oh my god, the math is mathing. If you play your cards right, you can have a whole area to Prison Break and you can be fucking shit up with him, and it's awesome. And the only move I can say is a little underwhelming is his kind of like AoE attack, but that's used mainly to get enemies off so he can get a distance. So Prison Break just has this nice cycle of attacks that work very well with him. Just overall, S tier. He's beautiful. Like, he's so beautiful. Okay, the last on our Earth is Bash, and Bash is actually going to be our first C tier. The reason why I'm putting Bash in C tier is his gameplay is fun. In my rating video, I said that Bash is a little better than Dino Ring because Bash has one of the most creative things with his gameplay, and that is the ability to summon a rock as kind of a defense, but also be able to hit that rock as a projectile, making Bash a little bit more creative. I mean, man can roll around like a goddamn wheel, and he has a very strong attack. As much as I want to say, oh, you know, that little bit of him makes him cool, he's just slow, he's a little clunky, and I do like his design, but his pose, he just looks like a lizard that's sitting there on like a hot rock in the sun, and that's cool, but Bash just isn't the man. I'm sorry. Now it's time for the tech element, and we have to start off with the one and only Trigger Happy. And yes, I am based. He is S tier. I don't think there's ever a tier list that Trigger Happy wouldn't be S tier, because this man has everything and he's become a personality trait in a lot of kids. Trigger Happy is so freaking fun. His gameplay works. The ability to just rapid fire shooting everywhere. The upgrades to it just makes it even crazier. He has like a grenade attack for kind of like dispensing enemies, and a minigun that, yes, keeps them still, but just to plant it down and just gunning down your foes, oh, it's just hilarious. It's so cool. And again, his design, he's a furry little bastard with golden guns, and the fact that his guns shoot money, and he's again a furry little bastard with his tongue out, like, we question why he's crazy, we just leave it as it is, and we accept that, you know what, he's just our loony little bastard. And I love how his design just kind of like exemplifies that. His personality and design work so well together, and the fact that he shoots money, I think, is a little funny, because only a crazy person would shoot money with no remorse like Trigger Happy would. You look at his figure and you know what this character is going to be about. Now it's time for Drobot, and I'm honestly putting Drobot in A tier. Drobot is a really cool designed character that plays very well with his game style. He's mainly a projectile character. He shoots like a freaking old 8-bit gunner, like a Galaga character, and he throws saw blades that bounce around the area. Very projectile-like. If anything, the most unique aspect to Drobot is his flying. Drobot to me has such a cool looking fly, because he doesn't like flap his wings like the others. He straight up just shoots off like a jet, and it's so cool. And again, that goes with his design. The design and the gameplay flow very well. It's like an affinity, you know, it mixes. Now it's Drill Sergeant, and Drill Sergeant is gonna be a B tier. I know I talked about Drill Sergeant being one of the worst, and I want you to know he's not one of the worst. I love every Skylander in Spyros adventure. Drill Sergeant is pretty cool. I think what Drill Sergeant suffers from is his gameplay is semi-unique, because where on one hand he shoots his arms like fucking torpedoes, that is so cool. On the other hand, he uses a tiny little blaster to just do minor damage. And I think that blaster was a missed opportunity, really. Like, it's cool, but he's just kind of like a tank that walks around and charges enemies. That, hey, it's in his name, Drill Sergeant. It's all there. But his gameplay just doesn't really stand out too much personally to me. But his design, oh my god, his design and pose is amazing. I love it. I love the look of his design. And that's what's kind of like why he's a B tier, because his design outbalances his mediocre gameplay. And this one's gonna hurt me too, but Boomer here is a B tier too. I love this guy. This guy would have actually been an S tier if I was just being very opinionated. But the reason why I'm putting Boomer here is that Boomer is not that interesting. Boomer mainly throws dynamite and he mainly drops bombs and he can slam the ground. He's truly the redneck that he was made to be. But the thing is that isn't so creative. The creative aspect plays more with his design and personality, because we all know he's a little bit on the kooky side, so him throwing bombs and being all about explosives works with his gameplay. Design is great, posing is fun, gameplay is meh, but we all know that, you know, it plays into what Boomer is. Now onto the life element, and we're gonna start off hard with Stump Smash, and Stump Smash here is going to be a B tier. Stump Smash is a B tier because he is one slow motherfucker. But I love this man. I love him so much because Stump Smash is all about squashing fools and spitting on them at the same time. It's a weird gameplay, but it works for him. What's fun about Stump Smash is how his moves work together in unison. His projectile has a purpose to why he has to hit and get up close. It's like a cycle, the cycle of life, you know? I think what really holds Stump Smash down though is his design. He's a basic tree guy, basically something you see in most like D&D or even Lord of the Rings. Just the difference is he has like more of a hammer like on his arms. I mean, overall, Stump Smash, pretty cool. I like him, and he's still one of my favorites. For another life element, Stealth Elf, and Stealth Elf is an A tier. The reason why Stealth Elf isn't an S tier and more of an A is because I do think there is one move that, you know, a little undercooked. Overall, Stealth Elf is a literal blender. Everything about Stealth Elf is about slashing, being stealthy, and slashing. So Stealth Elf is a really cool, crazy character to play around with. I think the one move that just kind of throws her off is a move where she just basically leaps in the air, and that move really doesn't feel like it needs to be needed on Stealth Elf, where mainly she attacks and goes invisible, and that move could have been something to play more into damage than mobility when she already has an amazing mobility move. What's different between her and Flameslinger is that Stealth Elf has more uniqueness as a elf-like character versus Flameslinger, I would say. And her posing is pretty legit. And overall, like, Stealth Elf is just a pretty cool character. And I do like her, not for those reasons. Okay, maybe for those reasons. Camo! Okay, I'm about to redeem myself, guys, but Camo is a B tier. I hope I redeem myself.
Now to get on with my day.
I personally didn't get a lot with him though. As I've heard and as I've seen, Camo is very loved by a lot of people. But I personally didn't get a lot with Camo. I will say Camo is cool, Camo is great. I think his design plays into what he is. It's gross, it's disgusting, and it's creepy. And his figure pose is really cool. It's like he's coming right out to get you, like a cat ready to scratch your nuts. Creativity in his moveset is there. I like the idea that he has a basic projectile. He has a move that literally goes in a narrow vine, and he can do an AoE watermelon attack. This man fights with fruits and vegetables. It's awesome. Camo just didn't click for me personally, and That's why I'm putting him in B tier, and that's also where my opinion on him stems. I do like him, but he just doesn't click for me. But I can accept that yes, Camo when he goes into his upgrade tree has some of the most broken gameplay, so of course he's amazing. And I can say the same thing with Zook. Zook is a B tier. I love my Jamaican bamboo guy who's cousins with the Applejacks dude. Zook is like a pleasure food. He's not the best, but he'll get the job done. It's like McDonald's. And Zook's gameplay is very basic. It's just about rockets. It's just about building barriers and shooting shit. But I think it's his design and it's the fact that he gets the job done, and his pose are just some of the aspects of Zook that is just fun and unique to him. I will always defend Zook, even though I know personally he might not be the greatest. Now we're into the undead, and for undead, I'm gonna be a little biased, but Chop Chop here is an A tier. Chop Chop is just badass in design, in pose, and what he does. Yeah, all he does is mainly slashes enemies. He can summon like a lane of projectiles, and he has a shield attack. It's very simple, but it's how he does it. It's how he has combo strands. It's how he has the ability to shield back enemies. It's something that a lot of characters here don't really have a lot. He's unique in his own way, and Chop Chop is probably one of the most instant favorites of every undead, just because of how he is, and he just stands out. When you see this figure, you know you're gonna have fun. Next is Cinder, and Cinder, oof. I'm gonna say Cinder is a B tier. I'm gonna get to it soon with Spyro, but Cinder is basically the Falco to Fox. Cinder, instead of shooting fireballs, shoots a short-range electricity attack. Pretty cool. She flies, and then she has a dash attack. Now her dash attack does a little bit more with summoning ghosts, but Cinder is a basic all-around character. The Luigi to Mario, that's Cinder. Overall, Cinder is just pretty legit, I would say. I know she actually comes from a Spyro game, so I don't have that much connectivity to her, but for a dragon design, I can give it to her. And honestly, her pose is really cool. She's literally dashing at you. It's spooky, but also like shows off what her character is. She's a dragon that needs no fucking man. Hex. Okay, this is being very personal, but Hex is an A tier. Hex is so simple, is so basic. Everything about her is so basic. I'm being honest here. There's nothing that stands out about Hex, but she is fun for some unknown reason. Whenever I needed somebody who can just shoot things out fast and summon some fuckery, I needed Hex. I would honestly say Hex would play more in C, but because Hex herself was a character that I just caught myself keep putting in and playing, I really found myself liking her, and I found myself liking her gameplay even though it's simple. It's fun. If anything, that skeleton barrier is a hit or miss. Ghost Roaster, this one hurts. This one hurts, but Ghost Roaster is a C tier. He's not a D, he's a C tier. And I'm also gonna need to defend myself here because Ghost Roaster is still getting a bad opinion in another video. Ghost Roaster is awesome. I love everything about Ghost Roaster. Design, dynamic posing, just the overall character of him. I love it. He's great. I've always wanted him as a kid, and when I got him, I was happy. But I think the thing that makes Ghost Roaster in C, he has a very basic moveset aside from one move. And I will get into what this one move is. Ghost Roaster just swings his tail and does a dash attack. There is nothing unique to him that any of these other characters can do. Now, what makes Ghost Roaster unique though is that he has an invincibility attack that will take your own damage to go invisible. That is really cool. But for Spyro's Adventure, that is shit. You are not in any moment where you need to go invisible because Spyro's Adventure is such an easy game. Ghost Roaster's invincibility attack has no use in this game other than just being kind of like a cool party trick. But when he gets used in the future generation, oh, he's A tier. He's A or S. Because Ghost Roaster's invincibility attack when the games get harder is where he's at. And that's why I will say Ghost Roaster may in Spyro's Adventure be in a C tier. And I will still say he's one of the worst out of the undead. But in future games, oh, he's amazing. Except Imaginators, they fucking did him dirty. Now it's time for Magic, and who else to start off with than Spyro himself. And I'm putting Spyro right next to Cinder, cause like I said, the fox and the fucking Slippy. Spyro is a good all-around character. There's a reason why he's in the starter kit and why, you know, a lot of people do like him, because he's like your shonen in a fighting game, you know? He has a projectile, a melee, and he can fly. But I think that flying move is what really kills Spyro in terms of its gameplay. But I also acknowledge that those were aspects to his character in his games. So it's very interesting. But I think Spyro himself is cool, and in terms of his design, he's cool. His dragon design from the classics are fun. I think if anything though that kills it off though, is his design in game is fun, but his design as a figure is ugly.
Sorry, you'll have to move along, hideous goblin. I'm posing dramatically for when the dib shows up.
I am too.
What?
They did him definitely better in like the future figures, but for Spyro's adventure, God, he looks disgusting. But those are kind of like why, you know, Spyro is an average character with an average pose, but his design as a figure is just very ugh. Okay, now it's time for this little fucker. I love Wrecking Ball, but okay, I have to acknowledge that he's a C tier. Wrecking Ball deserves nothing but C or D, but in my heart I want to put him in S, but he is a C tier. Wrecking Ball is a C tier because he sadly is, and I'm going to bring up damage for this one of the weakest characters in the game. But what I love about Wrecking Ball is that I love his design that plays into his gameplay. He's a little like bug thing. He's like this. He's just a thing. He's a little guy. He's just a little guy, you know? He eats things. He burps. He rolls into a ball because he's just a little guy. That's Wrecking Ball. He's a little guy, and I love this little guy. I have to acknowledge, though, that this little guy sucks, because sadly you can't solve every problem with your tongue, and sadly you can't solve every problem with your bowels either. I love how his gameplay is, but his gameplay is just, it doesn't work for him. He has a lot of knick-knack moves that don't work well for each other. Now, if he had a move that maybe like slobbered enemies and then made it easier for them to like be eaten, that would have worked better. But instead, Wrecking Ball is kind of one of those little goofy characters that I think they made, and I love it, but he is sadly a C tier. We're coming off strong, but Voodoo is an A tier. Voodoo is so cool to me. He has the pose, the design, the gameplay. He swings his axe around like he don't care. Not only that, he can do a Spider-Man move to get up to your ass, you know, and he can summon little like barriers to kind of protect them, or just to kind of put there to screw up enemies coming behind you or just around you. Voodoo's gameplay works very well, and it also works with his design. They really crafted a fun magic character here, and it sucks that we never got another iteration of him aside from his Eon Elite. And you know who else is an instant A? Fucking Double Trouble. For some reason, Voodoo and Hawaiian Magic I love Double Trouble because of his design, his pose, and that gameplay is just good. I will say his gameplay can be basic. Man is the literal character of holding A. You do not have to think when you play Double Trouble sometimes, because you just hold A, you summon B to have little tiki guys follow you to explode, and then you have like an area and effect move. That's probably the weakest out of his moveset. He's so fun. I love him. I love him. I love him. This man made my Magic days. I love Double Trouble. But I will respect that Double Trouble can be a little basic. So if he's ever lower on anyone else's list, I totally understand. Now let's get into water, because we're starting off with Zap, and Zap is going straight into A tier. I love Zap. Zap has probably the coolest idea to his moveset: water, electricity, and slime. He is such a creatively fast character. The fact that his whole moveset just works with each other is so cool to me. And it also plays into his design. Zap is a little aquatic like monster. He's kind of like a Nessie. And yeah, his pose is okay, like he's sliding at you. But just overall, Zap, there's really not a lot to say, but he's good. And then there's Whamshell. I know I said Whamshell is the best in my video, but Whamshell's really a B tier. I'm gonna be honest, I just like Whamshell because Whamshell is Whamshell, and I just like whamming with Whamshell. How many whams did I just whammed in one Whamshell? He's kind of like that crab warrior, you know? He's out here swinging his mace, he's out here shooting some electricity, and he has a projectile on him too. His pose is pretty fun, I won't deny, and his character design is really unique. I think though what Whamshell suffers from is, I wouldn't say like his attacking moves aren't the coolest, because his attacking moves move around a lot from what I've remembered. Sometimes you're swinging with them and then you do that final 3 hit and you're like shot off somewhere else. But Whamshell overall is pretty cool, and he plays a good B tier, I would say. Oh, come on guys, Gilgrunt, I think we all saw this coming. He's an S tier. You can never go wrong with Gilgrunt. Gilgrunt is fun. He's used in almost every game. The fact that this man has literally 5 versions of him shows that TFB loves this fishy boy, and for a good reason. He shoots harpoons like a goddamn tank. He has a water like flamethrower, and he has mobility. He is the heavy with wheels. He is so fun. I love Gilgrunt in every aspect. Yeah, his posing's a little basic, I won't deny, but just everything about Gilgrunt is so cool. He really stands out as a character. Slam Bam. And I'm gonna do it, guys. He's a D tier. I am so sorry. I now get to finally tell why I don't like Slam Bam. He has a design. He has a pose to him. I love that. I love Slam Bam's design. I just don't like his gameplay. He's a melee fighter. I don't mind that. And he has a ice move that can freeze enemies. That works with his melee fighting. Hey, that's cool. But Slam Bam has such shitty mobility. And he has a mobility move, but that mobility move does shit. And it's not even like an attacking move too, to at least, you know, get you there. No, you can still get hit when you do your little snowboard. But he has just, God, it hurts. He just sucks in like kind of like that one aspect of him, because I can freeze an enemy, but it could take me a goddamn millennium to get to them. I like his design, I like his pose, but I just don't like his gameplay. His gameplay kills it for me, because he's just not fun. I can play a different character who's way better with mobility than Slam Bam and can do some of the same. You know, that's just Slam Bam, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Slam Bam will always be low on my list. I did like him as a kid, and I will still always like him, but he's just not my favorite. Now we're into some good ones. The air element, and starting off with one of the best, Lightning Rod, straight to S tier. Design, I'm just saying it now, basic as fuck. He is just a blue Greek god. They just took a Smurf, gave him muscles, put him in a cloud, and they gave him a beard. And his pose is cool. But where else his design is very simple, his gameplay excels. Oh my god. Chucking lightning bolts, summoning lightning clouds, goddamn calling the god of thunder down on enemies. Oh, Lightning Rod is so fun. He is so fun to just jump in and cause havoc, and I love it. I love it so much. I love how crazy he can be. Sonic Boom. Pull out the guile. Sonic Boom to me, is a B tier. Sonic Boom is a B tier. The reason why Sonic Boom is a B tier is because I do like her attacks. I do like the baby gimmick and all like everything about her. Sonic Boom has a very unique kind of like game style with that. I just think though that Sonic Boom, in terms of her design, is very simple. Sonic Boom is just a griffin with a helmet. So it's kind of like, oh, that's a basic design. And not only that, it's her figure pose. She does not have a cool figure pose. It gets better in the future, but for the first game, figure pose is just so basic with a design that's very simple. But her gameplay's fun. I do like her. I'm saving you for last, motherfucker. But Whirlwind is going straight to A. Whirlwind is a classic. I think what makes Whirlwind super unique is that, yeah, she lobs attacks and she can summon little thunderclouds. That those thunderclouds can explode if you hit them. Those thunderclouds can increase your projectiles when you hit them. That's really cool, I would say. And not only that, I do like her design. It's a little creepy in the eyes, but I do think she has a pretty cool design. Her pose could definitely be a little better. But, you know, for the first version of Whirlwind, I liked her. She was my one and only air element back when I was a kid. So I had to like her, and I still do like her. She's still a good girl. Last and not least, this motherfucking flying turtle. And I'm saying it now. Warnado is A tier. Yeah, I said he's the worst in my video. What now, huh? Here's my address. You can come over and we can get some food together and I'll tell you why. But Warnado is an A tier because I love this little motherfucker. He is everything that I love. His design-wise is so fun. His figure is so cool. And yes, his attack is basic. But what I love about Warnado's attack, though, is that I do like that it actually has to sling him. He doesn't just attack like a snapping turtle. No. He has to throw himself at them. And I do like how the tornadoes literally grab an enemy and flip them around. It's also just the fact that he's a goddamn flying turtle. Come on. I would be doing a disservice putting him in like D tier. He is amazing. I love Warnado. But with that being said, this is my full list of the Skylander Spyros Adventure figure tier list. Some of these might make you happy. Some of these might anger you. Some of these might arouse you. We don't know. That's just the power of tier lists, guys. I will say, be on the lookout, because I don't think we're just gonna end with Spyros Adventure, because there's still definitely more Skylanders games. And also this lets me also kind of base my opinion more, since I don't get a lot of time to talk about in my shorts. So yeah, this is my grand way of justifying myself, and you just watched it. Have a good day, everybody.